1. For reference, I'm a trained bartender, and I work a range of different hours lately, because some people who worked full-time got fired. So last Monday, around 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m., my first table got sat. A one-top as I was putting my things away. He flagged me down, saying the host had said someone was supposed to come to him. He'd been there maybe 30 seconds. I came to the table, he says, "Oh, it's you." I said something like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I was putting my purse away, blah blah." Get his order going. Before I got to work, I had a mix-up with my leasing agency, and I needed them to change something in my brand new lease before 3 p.m. I've been on the phone, off and on, since 9 a.m. I absolutely had to take care of it because my lease would have been voided if I didn't. And I've been going after this house for a while, anyway. This is relevant because I work during their business hours and they're closed when I get off. So I'm taking care of him and getting his drink refills, and he just does not like me. Leaves me 5 cents on his $19.95 check. Tells the other server I was mean. I don't know. I just rubbed him wrong, I guess, whatever. On Thursday, I was serving as a fill-in, and he sat in my section with his 3 kids. Everyone orders, it's fine, but I'm busy AF. I was the only person there for a bit, so I was getting sat every 5 minutes or less for a while. His kid's food comes out, and he is upset. I get it remade for him. He talks to my manager, tells her I was great, etc., etc. Picks up the check on one of my other tables, leaves me $10 and coins as a tip. The other table leaves enough to cover the tip out for both tables, so not terrible, but between both tips, I could have made way more than just $10 because the other table was very nice, and I know they tip on their card fairly well. Today I split a section with another server. She has that guy. He wants to pay for my table. Not a high check, $34, but she is a regular and tips me well on her card, because we get along and chat about her kids and the book she's reading, etc. So he pays, and she doesn't tip, obviously. She probably assumed he covered it, and I thought he would. He didn't. He left and only tipped the other server. I was upset because I worked for free for that table because he covered it, and I had to pay the tip out regardless. Part of me wants to confront him and ask him to please stop. He's costing me money. And as much as it's a nice gesture, it feels like he's taking money from me by removing their ability to tip on their card. I know I could offer to ring up something like a sauce so they could tip, but that feels tacky. And as we all know, you don't know if they're going to leave cash sometimes or not. But this has been 3 times I've lost money, and twice was not because of me. I'm extremely frustrated, and it feels like he's fucking with me. As a side note, he always pays cash and has a money clip. It's no shit. 20s, 50s, and 100s. And thick. He's carrying a ton of cash when he comes in. He's obviously not hurting for money. He doesn't know me personally at all, but I've been working a lot lately to afford all the move-in costs in this house, and I need every damn dollar I can get. He's wasting my time when he does this. I just don't know how to address it because he's a regular. WWRD. Feel free to tell me I'm just being a crybaby. I had a horrible tip day at work, and it started with that, and I'm upset. 2. I work at a brewery barbecue place, really mellow environment. Everyone is tatted and alternative, etc. I am a senior host and do mostly host shifts still, because we're too understaffed for me to do anything else. And after years of doing this shit, I am at my limit. With older men thinking they're tough shit. We are first come, first served, meaning, if we have a wait going on and you're first here but your party isn't complete, we will seat the whole party first. It's been our policy since like forever. This guy came in on a Friday night, first Friday, mind you, and we're not even that busy, we're just full. So a 45-minute wait for a party table is nothing. Especially when we've only got 2 party tables in our upstairs section and have a wait list going on. Anyway. The guy comes in and puts his name on the list. They have 5 currently and are waiting for the last person to park. I tell him to let me know when everyone is in the building. He gives me a weird look and says, "So you won't seat us until every single person is here?" I say, "Yeah, we're first come, first served, and need your entire party here to be seated. We also have another party on the list." I didn't explain this extra piece to him because customers literally do not care, but if they said they had 6 and only had 5, we literally have a table meant for 5 tops. That would be 10 times easier for him to wait for, rather than sit him at a giant 6+ top table that can fit like 12 to 15 people when we're getting nothing but parties on the wait. He storms outside. Didn't really say if he was staying or not, but we had his info, so I put him down as a B for baldy. My coworker also wanted to do asshole. Alas, it shows up on their bill. When he comes back in with his party, I say, "Okay, great, y'all can either chill at the downstairs area and the bar or the bar up here." And he goes, "Nah, I'm gonna stand here and stare at you until we get our table." And then he does that for like 30 seconds to a minute. Pure silence. I stare back at him with a twitching smile and look at my coworker who is trying her hardest not to laugh like WTF. His face is red. He has blue eyes that look like laser beams with how red his face is now. Finally, I just go, "Okay, so we don't really tolerate this kind of thing here, so if there's an issue, I can just go grab my manager." He goes, "Yeah, you do that." I'm waiting for my manager to get there, and I just ignore him because he's taking up room and everyone around us already can tell he's a dick. He's starting to get embarrassed when he realizes he can't intimidate the young goth woman he has a weird instinctive hatred towards. Grab the manager. A taller guy in his 30s, bald man's tune changes immediately. "Oh, I didn't say I wanted to speak to a manager, I said I could." Right. Manager Satim was the only one to interact with him. One of the tables joked about our manager needing a drink after the interaction, and he just kind of rolled his eyes and nodded. Great. I sat them with another young woman just to make sure that the autograt went to a good place. Everyone laughed at him, dude. I don't understand why they do that kind of shit all the time, but they actually think I get scared of them. Like, guy, we have a taser behind the host stand for a reason. It just baffles me. 3. I work at a corporate-style restaurant. One of 3 in our market under the company name. This store has been struggling to keep up with the others and has issues with staffing decent front-of-house staff. I've been there 2 months and have noticed that a lot of the problems are due to poor management. I've quickly risen to a position where I've been offered a lead server type opportunity, and have been told multiple times personally by each member of the management staff that I'm a top earner for the store. And I'm one of 3 servers out of the whole staff that can handle multiple tables, as well as 10 to 30 tops with ease. Yesterday, I arrived for my shift on time and got the store opened and ready for business. I even had to stock, organize, and open the host area as well. The 2 other servers that were supposed to be there at the same time were 15 and 45 minutes late. Due to this, once the server, who was late 15, finally arrived, I was tasked with making a catering delivery that was supposed to be taken by the staff member who was 45 minutes late. I was rushed out the door, given the address on a sticky note, and told to get there ASAP. Come to find out, after driving for 25 minutes to the location, that the delivery was scheduled for next week. Keep in mind that I made 0 money for this. Upon arriving back at the store, I see that the restaurant is packed and busy. Now, this would usually be a good thing, except the manager who sent me out to waste my time gave away my section that always makes me money to the server that was 45 minutes late. Needless to say, I was livid, as I was placed into a small section that only has 2 to 4 tops. So, while the manager was losing his mind and freaking out because we were busy, and he made a stupid assignment of sections, and the servers stupidly placed in the better sections made mistakes and messed up food, I had 5 tables for my entire shift, resulting in a $40 Saturday morning shift. I usually make over a bill in that 5 hours. I try not to complain too much to my bosses, but I just felt so slighted and ripped off. I was 15 minutes early. That's on time for me, I'm old school I guess. Got everything done on time by myself, and it seems like the only way to get the good sections and make money is to show up whenever I want and do the very least I possibly can. It seems that those that do so get rewarded. So after leaving for the day, I sent a lengthy message to one of the other managers stating what happened and explaining why I was in such a mood when she arrived toward the end of my shift. The text included the delivery bullshit and the fact that my section was given away. I also expressed that I do like working at this restaurant, but that this manager had done this to me more than twice, and inquired if this was standard procedure, and if not, then there needs to be a solution. I also expressed that I didn't want to be put into a position where I need to seek employment elsewhere. Did I overreact? Should I have just let it go, considering I work a double today and could make my money back plus? Am I the asshole? 4. So I waited a long time to write about things here. I've been working at this restaurant in downtown Chicago in a food hall. But I've been experiencing way too many legal issues, gratuity issues, scheduling issues, and I just decided to go ahead and file complaints with the Chicago Office of Labor Standards and the State of Illinois Labor Department. I've been working here since October 27th as the host and a server, and I have yet to see all of the gratuity that I am owed. I waited an extra 2 weeks because apparently I wasn't on the payroll yet. So the first check I got was double what I should have got for the first check, which already made me skeptical of the owner. We haven't gotten paid on time consistently, and we got paid through Zelle as opposed to the payroll app Gusto. I still don't have all my pay stubs, and she acts like she doesn't see my emails. There's no HR person, it's just the owner and her husband, the co-owner, and she has been extremely uncompromising and unfair for whatever reason. She doesn't like that I apply pressure. I worked as a server for a few days out of the week, especially during happy hours, and then on the weekends when I worked alone, I earn a significant amount of tips, which I am legally and rightfully owed. The owner kept trying to say that because I wasn't hired as a tipped employee, I wasn't entitled to my tips, which is actually incorrect, because according to the law, a tipped employee is anyone who earns over $30 a month and tipped wages and their role, which myself and another employee definitely did. Then on December 23rd, she zelled me $142 and asked, "Does this sound right?" after I said, "As long as you get the documentation that shows how much gratuity I'm owed." She replied, "If you're able to get a specific receipt and keep track of how many tips you're owed, that would be great." I said no problem, and presented her all the receipts that I was owed, about $1,000 in tips total. Then she tried to double back and say I wasn't hired as a tipped employee, and actually these tips are actually hers, and basically avoiding accountability, and the fact that she owes me. So I filed my complaints. Now I guess she's trying to do an illegal tip pool and say everyone shares tips. But I'm like, you can't try and say we're going to split tips now that you see how much you owe, because you owe me and another employee our tips. Meanwhile, the one person working as the sole server gets to keep all his tips, no questions asked. Now my schedule is changed, and I only work weekends and 1 day a week, as opposed to the schedule we both agreed on. I could literally go on, because the restaurant deserves an episode of Kitchen Nightmares if I'm being honest. At least the chefs love their job and the food's decent, but this is enough to drive anyone mad. I low-key want to sue her for damages because at this point, I'm just waiting for that complaint to catch up to her. Update. She literally fired me today. 5. This happened ages ago when I was 16 years old, and I was just starting that day. I was excited but nervous because it was my first service job. For context, I grew up in a ski town in Colorado, so we would get visitors from around the world. With that comes some strange characters, and unfortunately, I met one of them that evening. Scene: a warm summer evening and the restaurant is quiet. Summers aren't the peak season. There are folks walking through the town and the occasional town bus rides through. We had outdoor seating and it was perfect to sit and enjoy the breeze. The restaurant made German and Austrian food and served really good beers. I tried them when I grew up. Enter our characters. Bingus, our star male antagonist, and Ding, his wife, and Dong, I'm not sure what her relation was. My manager Jake was hosting and bartending while training me that day, and he was a great manager. I really liked him. He seats them outside by his recommendation, and they complied and took their seats and menus. I fetched them water, both pitcher and a sparkling if they preferred. I had my little notepad in my waitress's apron and a pen in my ponytail, and I walked over to them. Smiling, I greet them and welcome them to the restaurant and ask them if they want waters. They wanted flat waters, so I poured them their waters, and as I was doing so, Bingus is staring me down. I placed the pitcher down on an empty table and asked if they wanted any drinks, and he just asserts, "We don't drink alcohol." I followed up with the, "Oh, okay, no problem. We have other drinks, such as tea and coffee if you like." "No!" I must have looked like an owl. My eyes got big and my lips curled in. I was shocked, anxiety rising. I managed to blurt out, "I'm so sorry, I'll let you look at the menu," and scurried off, grabbing the water, nearly spilling it on myself. I was shaking. I went to check back and had a little breather and drank some water. I shook it off, thinking he could be having a rough travel day or something like that. Foolish of me. I wind up my confidence and went back out there to see what they wanted to order. Bingus immediately asks if we can make the pea soup without wieners in it, and looking back, I know that they can't make one bowl of soup, but I was 16 and didn't know, so I said I would ask. I went back and asked our head chef Gustav, who was an angry German man who was never capable of being nice. When I asked him about the soup, he must have thought he was being funny, because he said, "Of course." This was the night I learned he wasn't a nice guy. I trot back to the table and say, "Yep, chef said he could." So Bingus orders the soup, and he orders salads for Ding and Dong. I place the order in the point of sale with the no wieners instructions on the soup. Why Gustav didn't correct me then, I don't know. He just prepared the food, and I brought it out to the table. I ask them if I can get them anything, and Bingus orders the dinner portions. Osobuco for all of them. I still remember their stupid orders. As I was finishing writing down on my pad and turning on my heel when I heard Bingus scream, "No! Why are there wieners?" I could feel the blood drain from my face, and a pit started to metastasize in my stomach. I turned back around and Bingus was scoped in on me with one of the angriest faces I've seen in a stranger. I leaned over, and sure enough, there was indeed a weenie. I apologized and tried to explain myself, but Bingus wanted to hear none of it. He started screaming that I was trying to ruin his relationship to God and destroy his family. He accused me of threatening his religion. I was horrified and was fighting tears. He shoved the soup at me and said nothing more and glared off into the distance. Ding and Dong just sat there and ate their salads. Jake heard the commotion and approached me and asked what happened. Holding that damn soup bowl, I started to tear up and tell him what happened. Jake was angry, first at Gustav for being an ass to the new girl, second for the customer's reaction. Jake told me to go sit in one of the booths with a soda and he will take care of it. He walked out there and ripped Bingus a new one and said they can leave as soon as they pay. Well, they all just sat there and continued to eat their dinners. Jake went in, printed out their bill, and smacked it on the table. They paid and finally left. Jake came up the stairs to where I was sitting, and I had calmed down and wasn't crying anymore. He apologized to me that this was my first real customer experience, and he assured me that it was not a normal response. I agreed that I have never dealt with something like that. It was insane to me that he really thought I was trying to hurt him. Jake laughed at that and said, "Honey, you could shoot a gold brick and he would still be mad." We both started laughing, and I felt so much better. He said, "The good thing is now people are going to seem so nice in comparison." I finished working that night and worked there for 3 years. I loved that Bingus was mad about weenies. If I had met this dude now, I would have had a field day. Thanks for listening. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 237. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do hit the like button and share the video with friends and family. And if you'd like to get early access to the videos, then you can support me on my Patreon page, which is linked in the description, as you'll find a link to the Hellfreezer merchandise store on Teespring. And if you enjoyed the video, you can leave a tip. You don't have to do that, but you can do so by clicking on the little heart with a $sign in the middle. If you choose to, thank you. Alright, I don't believe we've any other business today, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is... Now, I think most of us curse, but sometimes you don't want to. Maybe you think, oh, I'm doing it a little too much, maybe I shouldn't. Or you're a YouTuber on a stream and you want to keep the language to a minimum. So, when you don't want to curse, what words do you use in place of it? Some of the more creative ones I've had are lately badgers. I use a lot. Oh, badgers, that sort of thing. Monkeys. Or fart weasels has been a recent favorite of mine. So those are mine. And why don't you let me know what some of yours are if you feel comfortable sharing. And before we go, we'll have the answer of the day from a previous video. And this was in relation to if you could download any skill and be great at it right away, what would it be? And today's answer comes thanks to Nookerwolf7788. I'd love to download the ability to learn languages because I'm bad at it and it would be amazing. That or just fixing my reading capabilities because being ADD and dyslexic in the 90s was not that good. I'm so glad we have more tools now, but dang teachers had no idea how to help me, so most just ignored it. LOL. Thanks a lot, Nookerwolf. Okay, with that, I'm gonna head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.